it takes to preserve the euro. And believe me, it will be enough.
The ECB was pushing the envelope, and it worked. The euro survived the financial crisis. Today, a tough new test. The corona pandemic lockdowns have placed a heavy burden on the national budgets of the euro countries. In 2020, they took on joint debt for the first time ever.
The big winner of this summit.
Critics of the euro say this move makes financially weaker countries a burden on those with stronger economies. Many others, however, still see the euro as the best opportunity for the European Union countries to grow even closer.
Well, to discuss further 20 years of the euro, let's speak to Maria de Mertzis, who's Deputy Director of the Brussels economic think tank Bruegel. Thanks a lot for joining us on DW Business. It's great to have you on. So, 2 decades in, can we say whether the euro has been a success or not?
Yes, of course. I think the euro has been a big success, actually. And a way of thinking about this is to imagine how countries, small countries, but also big countries, would have weathered the 2 big crises that we've seen in the past 20 years had they been alone. I think that's a very important thing to try and contemplate as sort of a thought experiment. And then you realize that the scale and the stability that the euro has brought to the continent, different degrees for different countries, has actually managed to keep Europe together and actually weather the crisis with much less cost than it would have been otherwise. So yes, it has been an outright success as far as I'm concerned.
But as you just mentioned, the impact of it has varied between countries. Have there been winners and losers from the last 20 years?
I think it's important to appreciate that not all countries joined the euro, indeed the EU, for the same reasons. To the extent that one can have a distinction between the North and the South, and I'm very reluctant to make these types of comparisons because they're never really accurate. But let's say for the sake of conversation, we divide the continent in these 2 blocks. The northern countries are more open countries, so they are the ones who are looking for greater markets. So the prime motivation for the northern part of Europe to join the EU is to expand their markets, both domestically meaning in Europe, but through scale also internationally, globally. And that, of course, the euro provided amply to countries of the north. Countries in the south, on the other hand, wanted stability. They wanted a stable currency that is going to ensure that the consumer has got predictability in terms of purchasing power in their pockets. And they got that with the euro. So yeah, to that extent, if you sort of think about the motivation why every country joined the EU, then all of them had something to win from. The adjustment to the euro hasn't been easy for all countries. That, I think, is important. Countries in the south found it a lot more difficult to adapt simply because their economies are a lot more inflexible. But I think even countries in the south have found the stability of the euro to be an absolute success.
It's survived 2 decades and it's got through various crises, but there is another one on the way as the Eurozone recovers from the pandemic. How well set is the euro to get through that?
I think you'll see that European architecture, which is absolutely essential for good architecture, for sustaining shocks or sustaining crisis, has been moving in the right direction. Compare the reaction, how Europe dealt with the financial crisis and at what speed, and to the reaction of the EU in the current crisis, the pandemic crisis in 2020, and at what speed. You'll see that both the unity of Europe as well as the speed of reaction have greatly improved. Right. There is, I think, a sincere realization, appreciation of the fact that a united Europe can really weather the storms much faster. There will be important discussions in 2022 when it comes to architectural issues. I'm thinking mostly of the fiscal pact that can really help increase the resilience of the continent. And I think there is enough understanding that important steps forward need to happen.
Okay, Maria de Mertzis from Bruegel, thank you very much for joining us on DW Business.
Okay. Welcome back. Some of my online students have COVID, so not to worry. What needs to be done here now? It's gonna take a while. Okay. Today we are going to discuss a bit more about Europe because Europe is coming up very strongly. And we also have to talk about the Asian giant that I think will come up. Not a giant yet, but I believe it will be a giant. Indonesia may not be like the rise of China, the sort of rise, but I do see Indonesia as a regional, not a regional power, but a regional partner of the United States and China, and more likely than not with the Europeans as well. So if you do understand or do read about Jokowi, he's a fan of the German model, developmental state model. If you are interested in Indonesia's development moving forward, do read up on the German developmental state model, and also do read up on regulation theory, so you can study social economy. Okay, and what is it that state model is with the creation of a developmental bank or development bank, sorry, like our DBS bank. Okay, so most of the developmental state model will have development bank. They don't just, which actually is owned by the state. Okay, so regionalism, you look at Europe today, it is very democratic, full of institutions, fantastic, no question about it. They are a region on its own, but then what is it? I want you to think about the world ahead of you. What is it that you see Europe to be? With Russia pressing harder to revive its Soviet era, possibly invading Ukraine, possibly. Not sure how, when, but I do see Russia coming up very strongly, and that is something that you have to revisit. Read up the Cold War, the first Cold War, where you had Russia getting close to took over Poland, and these are very significant now. So the international security, you see the Americans are actually deploying military resources at Poland there, and that is very significant. So when you put resources in Poland, that means that is the flashpoint. Okay, so Europe is also going through a flashpoint where the revival of a Cold War between EU and Russia. It's like haunting Macron especially. So if you do read about Macron also, Macron is talking about creating a European army. And now the president of EU is France, and Macron is saying they want to make a powerful EU. Okay, what does it mean to be a powerful EU? Okay, can you just write it down, please? What Macron wants is a powerful EU. Please have that in your essay when it comes out. Regionalism comes up. Okay, so remember last or maybe a few weeks ago, we are talking about China as a regional power. That is our approach. But do not dismiss that EU has this ambition to be a regional power now. Okay, and to rival China, EU has this thing called, can anyone remember? To rival BRI, what was it that EU will be establishing to rival BRI? And these are all current affairs, so do take note of it. They are not in your notes. I do take note of all these things because I want your answers to be refreshing as well. It's not, every year the same answers. You should not have the same answers every year because you're not going to have the same questions every year. You can be sure he will test you on a topic, but he wants something refreshing. So regionalism has come up very strongly because of Brexit. So people are re-evaluating regionalism. So what is to rival BRI? Can you still remember what I discussed with you? Take 2 minutes, talk to your friend or whatever. Type out your answer if you have. Global Gateway, thank you very much. Is it? Global Gateway is about 300 billion euro. And the BRI is 1.2 trillion USD. So we do not know really, they have that capacity of 1.2 trillion. But then at the same time, you look at China, they are having some difficulties in their own country. How are they going to invest 1.2 trillion overseas when they have to address the issues back home? Okay, they need to re-evaluate their policies public policies in terms of inequality. That we will discuss next week when we look at economic development. So the rise of China is something that a lot of people have studied, but nobody have really looked at it in an angle that what if there is another power that will rival China besides the United States of America? Nobody has talked about that. So if there are other powers involved, we know there will be India involved in it. And the one that has sent shock to the Chinese ambition of becoming a regional power will be United Kingdom. We'll always remember that United Kingdom has the soft power. Okay, what is soft power? Can I just ask you before I go on? Some people look at soft power very different from me. What is soft power to you? In your own way, what do you think Britain's soft power is? Anyone? Yes. Good. Huh? What is it? No, soft power. Anything you think is soft power to me. Your own definition. Okay. I can't hear you. Cultural export. Okay, what aspect of cultural export? We're all sitting here speaking one language. That is the soft power that they have. And if you still do not know, a lot of people from around Asia come to Singapore for one reason, because the medium of instruction has always been English. Although we have our Singlish, but when we come to class, right, we speak properly. Outside you can say, hey, walao, you bullshit are you know. But in class, we are not British, but we can speak proper English. So when I go England, I just speak like that. I don't need to have British accent. And all the British people will understand me. Okay? So don't try to be like them. No need. They will appreciate that to them, I have Malay accent. Sam, you speak like a Malay. You know? Or is it? I didn't know. But when people I come back, people say, hey, you speak like British people. You know? Or is it? I also don't know. Okay? I go America, they say I speak like, I don't know where I come from. I say next to Pakistan. Then China is next to Pakistan. There's one village down there. The Chinese people speak English. And oh yeah. As you know, that Americans are not very exposed people, so they are only into surfboard, enjoying Hollywood movie. Oh yeah, that's very cool. Very cool, yeah. Okay, so they are able to rally support in IOs, right? So we understood from the video that I showed you that Britain will exercise leadership in policy. They have always been the one that is exercising leadership in policy. Okay, so do go and try to study. If you want to study, I don't know, you want to study IR or you want to get more specific to industry, you can go Cranfield University to study global production network, because they will be the ones writing policies on the realignment of global production network. And don't be surprised that you see Cranfield University is just a university, right? But they have links to the MI6, where they teach defense economics there. Now, how do I know? At RSIS, there used to be a guy by the name of Ron Matthews has gone back to the UK. That's where I learned defense economics. And I really understood civil-military relations. That you do not look at industrialization, the civilian industrialization, just as modernization. What underpins that civil industrialization is militarization. So what do you see now in Singapore? Digitalization has been combined and bind, or I would say bind, with militarization. So your CCTVs and all these are all part of the digitalization. So they can collect data, artificial intelligence, okay? And that is a nexus that is in the Prime Minister's office for Singapore. I don't know about other countries. Okay, so do look at the soft power of Britain. I was having when James Morrison last came here, it was 2019 if I'm not wrong, yeah, but in March. That was the last time he could come here. He was writing about a book on Britain, okay, the Brexit. And he was telling me, you know what, Britain just $1 trillion economy. Then I say maybe you should go deeper. Britain has a lot of soft power. There's a reason why they want Brexit. It's not so much you have too many immigrants in the United Kingdom. It's because you have a rising power, which is China, that is taking away or disabling its all its ability to negotiate with governments like it used to do. Okay, so that in itself, Britain stepped forward. So you can see the moment Britain stepped forward, Myanmar military started to move backwards also because there was a push from behind on democracy. The moment Britain stepped forward, you have China also moving backwards, not fulfilling its promise of 50 years, one country, two system, leaving China, Hong Kong alone. You see there's a pushback. The moment you see Britain step forward, you also see United States of America step backwards, which is going back to the 1934 when we look at RTAA, we discuss about the Reciprocal Tariffs and Trade Agreement Act here. Okay, so everything is going back to 1934, where Britain stepped backwards this time, and America stepped forward. So this time it's changed. Britain stepped forward, America stepped backwards. When I say America stepped backwards, doesn't mean America just cut loose. America is still a regional power in the Western Pacific. And this time they will what? Share power with the European Union. Okay? People don't believe there will be a Cold War 2.0. By all their calculations of game theory, they say prisoner's dilemma. You just go to double I, double S. Chan Chun Sing was speaking at the Fullerton. He talked like, he knows best, actually. You're saying that it's not realistic that both China and the US will continue with this kind of Cold War mentality or zero-sum game. That is, to me, ideally, that will happen. But to me, realistically, for America, it is not good for them to continue with that positive sum game. It is not possible in international relations at this point in time. Okay? That's my own opinion. You can think otherwise. You can say that it's good that they cooperate, but what's the reality? Remember this in your exams. When you say something about theory and ideology, it's great. But what he wants from you in terms of insights and analysis is a reality. What's geopolitics? Geopolitics is reality. So you have to understand this. Although it is not good for both US and China to engage in zero-sum game, which is too mercantilistic, but the reality is they are engaging in a zero-sum game through their tariffs, their war games, their maneuvers, and the way they engage with their allies. Okay, I repeat myself. Ideally, both of them, will gain from continuing with this interdependence. Okay, where America outsourced to China, China will grow, and America will have this marginal propensity to import, keep increasing. because it's so cheap to import from China. And because the MNCs are growing and the government can keep, increasing the debt in their country, then that virtuous growth and development between China and the US will have spillovers that are positive effect, even for countries like Singapore. Fantastic idea. But that is the past. Now, America wants to make it great again by investing in their own infrastructure. That in itself is the reality we have to face. Our ministers are not thinking like that. They are saying in a big picture, but they are not understanding that America's $1.2 trillion infrastructure bill is a mercantilist idea of national development. We have discussed about this. You should know one of those factors that mercantilists always look at: national development. Okay, whether it is Trump and now Biden, and this year will be a very interesting year in America for one reason. It is midterm elections. Do you all follow that? Midterm elections? Every 4 years, midterm election. So 2020 was the election, presidential election. 2022 is the midterm election where they will vote the lawmakers in Congress. So in America, it is forecasted and predicted that the Republicans will control Congress. So if they control both houses, that means they will start to push for some public policies. Okay? And one of those is definitely going to be coming to a consensus of how to build the infrastructure. Okay? There are other things involved. Of course, you have Bitcoin, how to regulate Bitcoin. Because the Republicans are fans of Bitcoin. So through this, you also know what is the sector that you should be aiming for in terms of your work as you graduate this year. The financial sector, the old school where you go to the bank and then, queue up like a dog like that, you are enslaved by the bank to queue up. It's all over. Okay? But the new way of banking, of artificial intelligence, cold calling and all these things. What is used to call cold calling is not cold calling anymore. They call you because they really know that you might really need this based on all the data that they find. Last time cold calling is you do not know, you just whack only. So nowadays when people call you 100 calls, you might get 30 or 40% hit. So that's not really cold calling. That hit gives the bank better revenue. That means you just hire one person to sit in the office to call all the time. It's cheaper than you get people on the bank on there trying to sell. And as it is, we're having a lot of safe distancing. So you cannot have all these people outside there. Okay? So you're going to see a dramatic change in the banking sector. Blockchain will definitely be implemented. That framework of blockchain cannot be dismissed at all. Okay, all these will come out in the Congress. Marijuana will be approved at the federal level. Medical marijuana, a small amount of recreational marijuana at the federal level. So if you're a marijuana lover, you wait for 2022. So there's a difference between the Republicans and the Democrats. What are they in terms of marijuana? One say they want to tax 3%. Well, that means you only pay less than GST 3%. Okay? And the other one say tax 25%, which is the Democrats. As usual, Democrats charge very high. So they will come to a point that they will pass a federal law. So what I do is I position all my money to all these stocks there. I don't have to do anything. I don't listen to this YouTube. Wow, Yuchi, I teach you. No need. I follow what's going to be legalized. And that in itself, the companies will start to assemble themselves. Okay, so you can go and do that as a living if you want. But you can go and do a security matter. You can also see what are the maneuvers. From there, you can look at one market that has a very good financial market. You can also invest in it. Okay, so, but Europe in itself, the banking, the financial market will also develop as they try to raise more money to expand their global gateway initiatives. So money will not just go to America. Don't be don't be so biased to say America will get everything. Money will go across, it will be spread out because it's no longer a unipolar world. So this deals with the topic where we look at international monetary system also. Money will not just be in America. When people say America will decline and just disappear altogether, bullshit, because they have Silicon Valley. I've said that to you, how Incutel is the venture capital firm of CIA, so that will not die. They are the ones that generate all the new products and services there. Internet will be there. Amazon is going to be big, but you're going to see the Europeans clamp down on all these big techs in America. So what would they do? When they clamp down on the big techs in America, they will also want to promote their own technology and their own platforms. So you're going to have multiple operating systems in the world. So the next phone that you come out with cannot be just for America or for China. The next phone, if I see correctly, I saw Sony Xperia with a new 5G phone. Anyone saw it? $238. Everybody is saying, oh, cheapo. But last time Sony phone, $800, $900. Everybody rushed to buy. 5G and $238. Will you buy it? I guess not, because you're so used to Samsung, Apple, and Huawei. But I would buy it. Why? Because I'm positioning myself for the next change there. So I hook onto the Japanese system first. Get used to their operating system there, because they will be one of the key players in Asia for sure. Okay, so 238 compared to Samsung's 1000 plus, I think I take 238. The user experience is fantastic. And there's another company called HTC. If you're from Myanmar, HTC. In Myanmar, people used to use a lot of HTC, right? There's a reason why. You know what's the reason behind it? You know what's the reason behind it?
Yeah, I think also
The generals, they have shares in HTC. The military. No, what I understood, right, is that the generals, they open up an investment holding company. They invested in HTC. I think 20% share. So in Myanmar, there were at one period a lot of people use HTC. Okay, so when I went to Myanmar, there was a time when it just opened up. You had to apply for permit. I go there, everyone was on HTC. Oh, HTC. Very interesting. Okay, so when you look at regionalism, do not just look at the global production network of Asia as the rise of Asia anymore. In your notes, when you have John Ravenhill, he just talked about the rise of Asia. That is before 2016. We can talk about the rise of Asia. But today, regionalism has to be looked at differently. I repeat myself, you have to look at regionalism differently, because we are moving into the direction where every region will try to grab power. Okay? So in politics, right, you will see these three things that Wallerstein was saying in the international system. You have hierarchy, you have polarization, and you have exploitation. So how does regionalism fit into what Wallerstein is saying, or Wallerstein's international system? That's something you would like to look at in writing your essay. Okay? Through the lens of Wallerstein's international system. Okay, so that is your analysis that you need to put in your exams, because we are looking at the big picture here. Would it be Anglo-Saxon, then come European, or Anglo-Saxon partner NATO, opposite side Russia, China? Okay, or will it be Anglo-Saxon, and in Asia they have their networks of allies against China alone, and Russia is independent, autonomous from China? I'll let you decide, because I cannot tell you, oh, it's going to be like that. Okay, so the question is, next week when we discuss how the state, any state, small state, big states, how should they organize their bureaucracy in this new world order that you think will come out? You create your own world order. There's no fixed world order now. Okay? Do not go and read all the past books of how the world order should be, Kissinger and all this. That's over. He's like, crawling to his coffin soon, I think. Because all he can say, I just hope China and the US will have good relationship. That's not a world order. Okay? The new world order, everyone knows. You need a person that is using buzzwords straight to your face called Donald Trump. He said, this is over. We need reciprocity. 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 What is that world order? You have to feel that world order. So when you come to my class, the theory is there, you read the notes is one thing, but the exam, he wants you to feel what is it out there, and you write your answer. And to feel it, always use the Marxists and the new Marxists, because they are always grounded people. And they will tell you, you got principles to follow. Like Wallerstein, you have hierarchy, polarization, and exploitation. This is the best bet for you in terms of international system. And if you go deeper into exploitation, then you look at Marx, the superstructure and base. Will it be possible for China, with its R&D capability, to rise even further? That's for you to analyze again. Or will it be America will rise to the occasion with its capability, technological know-how in Silicon Valley, to even contain China in that sense? That means contain China's industrialization moving forward, or to stymie its momentum. That means you will not just isolate China, you will contain its or slow down its industrialization. And in doing so, then I brought in another person called Europe, right? The BRI. To what extent can they really expedite that one or disperse that $1.2 trillion there? If they are not able to do that, then it means that someone has taken over their business network. I repeat myself. If China has $1.2 trillion, but other people say, no, I think I will just use lesser of your money, but I got other investors coming in. And if you remember correctly, or I remember correctly, when they say they want to initiate or institute that global gateway, is to make sure Europe no longer be a donor. Europe will be an investor. And that is actually a win-win situation. Why? Because you impose lesser conditions on the developing countries. So Indonesia has a sovereign wealth fund, co-investment. You can go and type Indonesia sovereign wealth fund. You have the Americans investing, the Germans investing, the Norwegians investing, Singapore invests, everyone invests. Why? These people are investors. And when you have them in that incubator, so to speak, you don't impose conditions on Indonesian government to look at austerity all the time, like how the IMF and the World Bank used to do. What are you doing then? You are looking at ways to make things work because you want to look at yields from investment. Make sense? So when you are looking at it from a business perspective, I will only invest when there are yields. But if I am a donor, I want you to follow this. If not, I will not donate money to your infrastructure development. So there's a shift, paradigm shift, in the way international investors are going about to help developing countries to come up. Okay, so you got to think along that line. In Africa, they will do the same thing. Okay, so the relationship-based kind of management that China has may not be that effective anymore. Okay, because when they become investors, they are more enthusiastic on making things work because they want the yields. But when China develops something for you, if it breaks down, never mind, we build again. But there's no use. The interest will be very different altogether. So I hope you take note of that. Europe will look at it, although it's 300 billion, from a perspective of an investor, no longer a donor. Very important. That is very important. That is a pivotal change. That is basically a paradigm shift in the way international organizations will function. Okay, so in a multipolar world, the IOs, the international organizations, will have multiple agents rather than just the Americans having a say of everything. So the Americans are very smart. By doing that, they are also accumulating more political capital. Because it's not I say, everyone is saying the same thing. So I'm on the right page as everyone. But if it's a unipolar world, I say, and I face a lot of resistance, I have to jettison all the resistance. I have to spend so much time to make myself sound so correct. Okay? But when it's you basically pretending to embrace diversity, but you know that the Europeans are rules-based, we are rules-based, we have a common consensus, the relationship-based people will suffer the most. Because you have a broader spectrum of argument in confronting China. Even if India wants to do relationship-based, they will confront India. You say you are a democracy, you have to follow institutions. India will have to abide by it. That's how it works. Okay, so that in itself is how they will restart that rules-based international order. The rules-based international order that is based on unipolar world is definitely over. So the question comes back again, how will regionalism look like through the lens of Wallerstein's international system? Will there be exploitation? Yes, there will be. What's the hierarchy like? You have to tell the examiner. Okay? What is the polarization like? When I say polarization, I'll give you a hint. Is it going to be a Cold War that we're going to see for the next 20 years? Everybody is talking for the next 20 years from now. So if you get it right for the next 20 years, okay, if you are the state, that means you are the policymaker, you're the bureaucrat, you're the politician, the leader of those countries. You get it right, you can be a very, very rich country. But if you are a leader of a country, you still hang on to the old order, where you keep saying, no, we still go for rule-based international interdependence without confronting the reality out there. That the rules-based international order of yesterday, which is a unipolar world, you cannot use the same SOP anymore. You have to change your SOP. And there is no SOP actually. There is no past precedence for you to follow. Okay? So Singapore was only a republic in 1965. They didn't have a past precedence on how to deal with the international system before that. So it's very difficult for those people from the military go there and talk. They talk, and people are like, hey, this guy come out from where? Battalion, which battalion one? He talk like just like that. Okay, here, go. Okay? So it's very difficult here, but you are in a school of politics, so you have to understand this. It's going to help you a lot. Okay? I'm not saying that I'm like, your God's gift or whatever, but I'm saying that you must spark that imagination in you. Remember this, if young people don't imagine, the world is over. Yeah. If the old people only imagine, then what do the young people do? It's over. Okay? So the problem in Singapore is they create a system to produce politicians and bureaucrats only. And the young people are disillusioned. Why? Because the young people are, some of them are artists, craftsmen, tradesmen, guitarists, musicians, artists, chefs, and all these things. They do not fit into that system, so to speak. Okay? So you go and ask the ministers, or what are they planning for? They are planning programs only for the next election. And how are they thinking? Let me tell you how they are thinking. Making the greater happiness, creating greater happiness in the greatest number we can achieve. Which means to say, if I can get 60% of the vote, greatest number I can achieve, I will create the greatest happiness for this 60%. What about the 40%? The craftsmen, the artists, this and that. They don't think of them. So when they're telling you all these things, it's a bureaucratic system that is planning for greater happiness for the greatest number. They're playing with numbers only. They're called technocrats. It will create stability, but the inequality, the polarization is going to be worse. So artists, musicians, chefs, all these tradesmen, intellects, they cannot be part of the system. Once you are too intellectual, oh, you are a threat, because you're gonna go against that bureaucratic system. They are all the way just spending money on sustaining that kind of bureaucratic system. Okay? Anywhere in the country, anywhere in the world, the same. Unless there's a people's revolution, then you change the whole thing again. Okay? As far as Singapore is, and Malaysia, you look at it, after they go one big round, come back to Bosku, Najib. He still holds the key. Why? On the ground, people still like him. Yeah, Zahid and Najib is well liked on the ground. People can deny it. He go to all these different state elections, he will finish them very quickly. The one time he lost was because of, if I got it right, is the foreign influence. And Mahathir stepped in forward. That's it. But if you go on the ground now, nobody trusts PKR. Pakatan Harapan is over. You can see from the last election, it's over. Okay? So how is it regionalism will be? I would like you to look at Southeast Asia to begin with. Indonesia. Do research on Indonesia. Okay? Do research on what India will be like, what China will be like, Indonesia will be like. And focus on the South China Sea. Because that's the sea lane that will transport a lot of goods and services. And why is it the British has stepped forward? Articulate that. Why the British step forward? Get out of Europe and step forward. There's a reason. No, everybody tell me, no, they are racist. They want to chase the immigrants out. Britons are the most pragmatic people. Never underestimate British people. No. You don't look at them like them slack like that. Oh, relax, they drink beer, play football, fish and chips. They only fight one war. Only. 1 year, 99 years, relax. 1 year, they finish Hitler. Yeah, God save the Queen. Come out with new policy, Keynesian economics, the theory of unemployment. Rebuild, take the money from the market, after that, pay back. God save the Queen, petrodollar, British pounds. They don't need to work all the time. That's how shrewd they are. And now, when they see China rise, God save the Queen. Brexit. When they go back, they come to Singapore, I want to put my warship here. You hear anybody say cannot? No way. They put their warship here, the Germans, they call the Germans to come also. Okay? Can Singapore reject? No. Historically, the industrialization of Singapore, Japanese, German, British, American, Holland, HDB flat, exactly like the whole Dutch HDB flat. They don't call it HDB, public flat. Because but their HDB flat, their public flat, not $1 million, It's all rental only. Okay. So, remember the things that we discussed? And when you are looking at the world order, you must understand why all these things actually emerge. Why all these things emerge? What I've just said to you just now, why all these things emerge? If you ask me, it's because of the rise of China. China rise too much, too fast. Okay, all these, based on these four categories here: social cohesiveness, economic cohesiveness, political cohesiveness, organizational cohesiveness. What is it that you see here on this screen that, you know, the Europeans look at it and the Americans look at it and say, wow, based on this, right, there's something here on this screen here tells us that the rise of China will be a threat. Right? Ideology. Ideology, political cohesiveness. What? You can't read the Chinese ideology, but there's one thing that they say it out. When they say Xi Jinping say it out, the Chinese Communist Party say it out. Everybody is like, guys, let's screw him now. Like army like that, push up position down. I'm gonna bring M16 or British MI6 or come out all gather military intelligence or nail him down. I'm not saying he's bad or good, but because he said this. What was it? Huh? Socialism. That's not enough. Yeah, with a Chinese characteristic. Where is it on this page that you can see? What is socialism with a Chinese characteristic? What is he campaigning? Although Heng Swee Keat go to China, you know, Heng Swee Keat, very interesting person. When I look at Heng Swee Keat, he doesn't seem to laugh. He only laughs like, wow, this fellow laugh also no movement. I think he really got stroke. Okay? What exactly that the Chinese have been promoting, and everyone is watching. You say, hey, look at the snake there. And now he has mentioned it. So you give us license already. We can whack you. You give us the permission to whack you already. Socialism with Chinese characteristic. Where here? 1, 2, 3, 4. What is it that it is trying to achieve in the short run and in the long run? All four. Okay, no, the first one there, immediate task. That you can see when you say socialism with Chinese characteristic. Think about it for 2 minutes first. Talk to your friend. You will have differing view. Guanxi, multilateral. Okay, pushing for Guanxi, many bilateral relationships instead of multilateralism. But based on the four, the cohesiveness, you unpack it, right, to got 4 levels there. Which one would you choose? Let me talk to the person beside you. This is a discussion I have with people. People ask me, what's wrong if the Chinese want to do all this? Yeah, okay, then I'll explain to them. You'll have different answers, it doesn't matter, but I want you to hear. Talk. Organizational cohesiveness. It is against traditional rules and norms. Hey, can I ask? I'm different generation. What is GG? Huh? Going. Oh. Okay. I know some of the WhatsApp stuff, but when people write GG, what the hell is that? I just like, yeah. Don't worry, I won't try to be like you, you know. So I need you to explain to me. When I talk to my nephew also, he will chat, he will write proper English with me. So he's like, wow, damn stressed, my uncle. I don't know what, to be honest, TBH is it? TBH, oh yeah. So he typed TBH, to be honest. I remember in exams, don't write all these acronyms. Because you see your results come out with a star. You see star. What does it mean? Means you get 0, clause. Social cohesiveness. Pushing citizens to learn Mandarin, ban of K-pop. Okay. Okay, I want you to remember what I taught you or discussed with you in Marxism. Very important here. Because these people are admirers of Marx. Okay? There's a person who do research. His name is, I think, Philip Cockin. He's in Yale. Princeton, sorry. He's looking at Stalin, right? He's looking at Stalin for many years, just like how I look at Singapore for 15 years. 15 years, right? Wow, then he said that Stalin actually wasn't the kind of person that in front of people he said this, then behind, it's like, oh, the show is over, let's talk rubbish now. Even in their own internal meeting, they talk about bourgeois. Wow, very serious about all these things, So like, wow, the Russians are crazy about this shit about Marx, So when you say this, socialism with a Chinese characteristic. So Su Jie say it's social cohesiveness. Ban K-pop. Yong Seng say ha ha ha. Sorry, no, organizational cohesiveness. What else? Who else say? You say it's ideology, is it? Doesn't matter what you say. I just want you to tell me what you have to say. But we will draw on what Marx say. Because they formed their Communist Party based on what Marx say. Then do another thing. No, Marx wasn't like that. What was it that Marx, that I brought you to this one particular quote of Marx, and then everyone is like, oh my God, this guy is so deep. I hate him. I can see from the face. But actually, at that time it was online, but I can imagine, because all these years when I teach, when I put there, everybody look at me like, oh shit, not again. Social harmony, conform to a single culture. Okay. So the socialism with a Chinese characteristic. I bring you back to what Marx said. I put it purposely for you. It is a surrounding or your existence or your consciousness that is influenced by your surrounding. It is not your consciousness that influences the surrounding. Remember that phrase? Something along that line. It is capitalism that influence, that shape your consciousness. It is not your consciousness that radiates and then comes out capitalism. So what is China trying to do? Socialism with a Chinese characteristic. He's trying to create the Chinese Communist Party is trying to create a consciousness that will shape, and a framework, I wouldn't say a consciousness, that will shape the consciousness of people in Asia. The social cohesiveness based on a framework of the Communist Party without imposing harsh conditions on you. How do we do that? How would you do that? Eventually, through soft power, you will comply with their framework. What is that soft power? Confucius Institute. You go there and learn Mandarin. A lot of white people like to go Confucius Institute, learn Mandarin. Then they get certificate. Yeah, I know Mandarin. Then put tattoo here. Ren Ming. wow, 民主 whatever put lah, wow, like real. Then the Chinese people also, wow, white people put, I also put lah, my one longer. Like Yakuza put until don't know where, everything also put. Okay, so from there, you can create that economic complementarity. The economic complementarity comes with that, not an institution, not a formal institution, but through an agreement called the BRI, initiative. The initiative is an agreement, state to state. So remember the Chinese, right? If you look at their history, it has always been the monarch, the king, the emperor, with the tributary systems. They have many satellite towns. They go to Korea, they pay homage to them, patronage, give the king gold every year. Vietnam also have to do that, because it was under the influence of the Chinese monarchy. So what is it that they are trying to do? They are looking at it from the same structure again. So when you build the BRI, the focus will be what? A lot of them are infrastructure that are allowing the military, the Chinese military, have access to all the information. How you even go to the deeper into how you have your internet, which is Huawei 5G. All the operating system will be in there. How the ship will dock, everything all they know. How the train will go underground and all, every damn thing they know. So that is the civil military relations that they want to capture. Okay, that information to soft power automatically by default gives China, okay, the right to create that organizational cohesiveness, not formally, informally. You don't need to do anything. I already know what how you're organizing yourself. So basically, they are trying to displace the American software, okay, through the hardware. Okay, so, but then I told you that if you look at it from the Chinese perspective, this is what the Western people will say. But from the Chinese perspective, we have no choice. The global financial crisis, we have to convert all factories to cement and steel. We need to export all these goods now. Okay, and Asia was very open to our ideas. You told us to come together and then try to get the global economy out of the situation of the global financial crisis. So what do? We develop more infrastructure. Why are you complaining now? Okay, so the debate goes on and on. Okay, but the Western people say, but you Chinese people are very shrewd. They always make Chinese people like very shrewd at it. Like, Bruce Lee kind of bullshit. One kick, you die. Chinese people are always known to be like that. Very fatalistic. Right? Even when I used to play a lot of squash, right? I used to play for Singapore, but I went to America, I played tournament, right? I was the only Chinese guy down there. Well, everybody look at me, it's like, wow, this is Bruce Lee. He's gonna kill her. And when I won the tournament, right, my group is like, the winner is Bruce Lee. Yay! Everybody clap. So that's how they view the Chinese people. Very fatalistic in approach. Not zero sum, not positive sum. It's negative sum. Die together also never mind. Okay? Kamikaze Japanese. Yeah. So that's how they see the Chinese would approach the South China Sea now. Yeah. You look at the way the Western people talk about China. Is that China, you go there, right? Wow, 我们全部一起死了来了. But you never know the Chinese people maybe 看好好先的，我会死的这个. Could be the other way around. Okay? So as much as you are seeing that global order that is multipolar, okay, not duplicating of the past rule-based international order. I'm not saying we are not moving away from rule-based international order. We are definitely going back to the rule-based international order, but in a multipolar world. Rule-based international order with a multipolar world. How would you see that world with hierarchy, polarization, and exploitation? Will there be more exploitation? I think less, if you ask me. Why? Because they need to find more allies, right? The exploitation will be reduced. When it's a unipolar world, you have to listen to me, no choice. When it's a multipolar world, you have to compromise. You need to win their support. So everybody will be campaigning for their own operating system. Okay? When I say operating system, you can see with what you use next time. Increasingly, a lot of you are using this, instead of WhatsApp, what are you using? Telegram, right? Telegram is from who? Russia. If I'm not wrong, also Germany. Is it Germany? Russia. Wow. They say Telegram better, you know. You can put more icons, emoticon. WhatsApp cannot do all this, leh. So the Russians are not stupid. You see, they got a good operating system, right? So you can see that Telegram is a real rival of WhatsApp. And you look at Russia. How can they produce that? How did they produce that? Ask yourself this question. So Putin is sitting down there, is like, come on, guys. I'm going to give the Americans a good one. Okay, so you got a picture already? Multipolar world, the rise of China, that came to a grinding halt for one reason, that they said socialism with a Chinese characteristic. So you gotta tell the whole story of how it actually came up until the point they say socialism with a Chinese characteristic. Yongsen got it, Tzu got it, Prem got it, Nico got it, Malaysia. Zing, wow, I like this. Who is Zing? Oh, you. Why don't you put Z-I-N-C? Zing. Just joking. Just joking. Don't get too excited. Okay, so you all got that or not? Your regionalism. Because he may not ask you a topic on regionalism itself. He will ask you about the rise of China. So do write about the rise of China, but in your further analysis, you do write about the changing world after the rise of China. There's a limit to the rise of China, what I'm trying to say. And it is proven based on what is happening, the events of the international security. Okay, I'm not saying this like, wow, I'm trying to imagine this is happening. So when in 2016, when there was a Brexit, people look at me, right? They think I'm just bullshit. You're not a liberal, are you? You are a hardcore Marxist. You know, you're so hardcore, I'm telling you, you people like you should be just burned and die like that. But I'm trying to tell them what's going to lie ahead. And now they come back to me. Actually, what you say is true. I thought you say you want me to die. But never mind, now you can live again. What kind of bullshit? So people are trendsetters, they follow trends. So now when they see this, right, actually they look at it, it's not Donald Trump. It is the state responding, the American state responding to the geopolitics there, what you just saw there. That the Chinese have been very outright, that because of their success in Africa, Africa has been a success for China, for the Communist Party. They won. They have accumulated a lot of soft power in Africa. They have entrenched power in Africa. Nobody can deny that. Nobody in Europe or in America is denying that China has entrenched power in Africa. In fact, they admit it and they are doing something about it. I've said that to you. Global Gateway is an admission of the success of China in Africa. Okay? How to change the Millennium Development Goal to Sustainable Development Goal is an admission of the success of China in Africa. Okay? Because the Millennium Development Goal, when we look at economic development, is about stability, but not about equality. China built the infrastructure, not just stability. It created better equality in that country. It reduced the inequality in Africa. Why? Because that Belt and Road Initiative, you connect the whole of Africa. They are not, unlike before, they are like, independent. Now they are one region. You can take a train across Africa. That is how the Africans believe the Chinese did them a favor instead of the West. What happened previously? If you are a British colony, they will just pay the government 10% as royalty. List them, take all their gold and whatever minerals, list them in the London Stock Exchange there. The earnings, 10% give to the government who are corrupt. Nothing comes out, nothing materialized to reduce the inequality. In fact, you still see greater inequality in that country. And there's no proper schools, no proper healthcare system, no proper roads, no electricity, nothing. No public housing, nothing. Although you give them 10%, they just distribute among the elite. So China gave them the infrastructure. And today, even in Nigeria, you know what they have? Electronic money. Never in their imagination that would happen in Africa. But the Chinese did it for them. So that was the thing that woke people in the Western Hemisphere. That this particular giant not only got out of poverty, it helped another region, which we condemn that region to the core, that it should be eliminated altogether. They helped this region to come up and reduce out of poverty, reduce inequality, created winners in their countries. Then what the hell are we? With all the educations we have, we are screwed, man. Come on, guys. Let's slap each other's face. Come on. Now let's do something. Okay, the Chinese have not done anything for the healthcare system. So the Global Gateway say we will address healthcare because they have superior healthcare system. Okay, now we will provide more scholarships to these people because we want to influence them, create those institutions that are rule-based. Forget about that relationship-based kind of organization. Okay, so this is a real problem. So will Africa still stay with China? I say they will. Why should they leave? Would you leave or not? Would you leave or not? The fella come and give you donation? No. The whole thing, after they take your mineral, but the people, better lives, better standard of living. Ethiopia, it was so run down, but when I look at the video, Ethiopia is so nice now. It's a joke, man. Never in the Western world they believe that Africa will be out of poverty in this manner. Not only China got out of poverty, they helped another region get out of poverty. That is quite a feat. It's nothing that we have seen in any civilization. They have not said this. You go and observe yourself. Have you heard the Western governments talk about how China helped Africa to come out of poverty? Nobody have mentioned that because it is an embarrassment to them. It is a great embarrassment. So no matter how the Western say it's a debt trap, yeah. What about you? You're also debt trap. What? You're trapped in your system of what? Just giving us 10% royalty, and corruption persists. Diseases still widespread. Education low. Okay, people are abusive, and the generals are still having military coup, right? So you gotta look at it that way. So when you look at that, right, you have two prongs. The next thing that you look at is how the world is going to be polarized. What I'm trying to say, you put the rise of China, socialism with a Chinese characteristic, and they also help Africa to come out. And at this point, the Western Hemisphere, they are reorganizing themselves. Global Gateway, Make America Great Again, Brexit, press harder in South China Sea. And the South China Sea is where the red line will be. And when you say red line, you know what it means. Red line means it's like a cancel culture. You, me. What does it mean? It's Cold War. Without even without you knowing now, it is Cold War now. Without you knowing, it is Cold War now. Why? The moment all these COVID comes in and all these things, before that, you can see those who are allies of America behave in a certain way. Those who are allies of China behave in a certain way. They turn inwards already. Okay? So in Southeast Asia, you have Cambodia. You have Laos towards China. Okay? Myanmar, no choice. Suddenly they have election. They use the election as an excuse to say that this woman is corrupt. But in fact, they were actually very promising to come up as one of those big economies in Southeast Asia. I'm not sure what the military has, what connections with the Russians and the Chinese. I believe there's something going on there. Okay? Let me tell you why I believe so. Based on my own experience going to Myanmar. Okay, I went there because there was an ex-SIM student, okay, who was from Myanmar. So he said, sir, you come to Myanmar, then I show you around. So I said, nah. No, don't worry, you're not gonna, I'm gonna make you stay in those not nice, fantastic, expensive places, just normal places. Okay, no. So first place I went was Yangon. Yangon, at that time, no shopping center, nothing. Okay, then I went to his house just to visit. When I went to his house, I got shocked. The first thing I saw, what is this picture? This old man shake hands with Lee Kuan Yew. I said, who is that? I said, I know Lee Kuan Yew, but who is that? Oh, that one was the Minister of Defense, my grandfather. Wow. Your grandfather? Your grandfather? Serious? My grandfather. Yeah. Grandfather. Very long time ago. If I get his name correctly, it's called Jortin or something like that. Kyaw. Jortin, is it? There was a minister for defense, long time in the 60s and 70s. Together with Ne Win. Huh? What's that? When? 60s. Should be the 60s. But he gave up. Because Ne Win, I think, got influenced and became more corrupt during that time. Together with Aung San Suu Kyi's father, they were all the same group. But then these people still remain in the military. There's also a split, not just pro-China. There are people who want to open up, to help Myanmar to open up. So I believe his father is that category, So I think, wow. Then when the grandmother come out, like royal family come out, for people, wow, oh my God. And then I didn't know how, because he come to SI like normal, people sit here like that. When he goes there, he never cross the road. You want to go the other side of the road, right? Sir, let's go inside the car now. They'll make a U-turn. Okay, now, sir, come out. Prince, there is a disparity between the very rich and then the very... I say, I want you to show me the poorest place. You go there, right? You see, don't even have water. You see these people, they have very... I didn't say, what your father doing then? Yeah, my father is a general, but there's only so much he can do. Why? Because there's a split within the military itself also. And you have to follow. If not, what? You go against, you yourself get finished also. Okay? So Myanmar by itself like that, the moment they open up those corrupt military, they open up, the prices go up, the military sold the land to those commercial people. Now, take back again. Very easy. I give you at a higher price, take back for free. That's how Myanmar just go down like that. And the whole thing about China that they want about Myanmar is where the Rohingya is. They want to build a military port there. So they chase out the Rohingya. Mahathir every day protesting. When you have a warship there, stationed there, beneath the area will be a lot of oil is deposited there. The Americans wanted to go to Aceh last time, the same thing. Bang Susilo. Tell them, go away. You know why? If Aceh get independence, the Americans will feed them with all kinds of ideas. Give me your oil. Aceh got one of the best oil in the world, the deepest deposit in the world. So this is a fight for minerals. Mercantilist state are the same. They always go and take people's resources because you need those. Don't be full electric vehicle. We're gonna power all your electricity. No. It's gonna be hybrid for sure. Okay. At some point, the electric vehicle you can maybe you just drive a distance like that. It will not be total electric vehicle. I doubt it. Maybe smaller cars can. Okay, but I think there's a limitation to it. Okay, so the Chinese have come to the point they cannot reverse whatever they say. So the Cold War is very obvious. So I want you to write that in Southeast Asia, there are 3 countries, Laos, Cambodia, Myanmar. Not the Myanmar people, the Myanmar military government. You have to be very careful when you say things because you might offend people that are closer to China. Okay. The other 7, Vietnam definitely not closer to China. Can't blame them. When I say all these things, please don't say, no, you hate Chinese. It has nothing to do with that. It's all about interest here. Okay? Vietnam, Philippines, Indonesia, Brunei, Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand. Although they say they want to be fair, they want both sides, they love interdependence. But when they have to make a choice, in terms of security, they would like to choose the United States of America. Because the United States of America does not, come to the region directly. What they do, they have strategic partnership with the governments. But China is in the region. So that socialism with a Chinese characteristic will haunt them. Nobody would like to be under the influence of a communist party. History has told us so. Nobody in Southeast Asia would like to be under the Communist Party. Even the Chinese diaspora. There's a reason why we have a Chinese diaspora in this part of the world, in Southeast Asia. Because they didn't like the king or they didn't like the Communist Party. They didn't run here because they liked that sort of hierarchy. They escaped that hierarchy altogether by coming to this part of the world where they had better opportunities. So they have already built their foundation here. Unlikely they would like to be under the influence of the Communist Party. They would like to do business with China. Very sure, yes. But to be under the influence of the Communist Party, and they look at Hong Kong as a prime example of a trading hub. Today, this dynamism slowly going down. No Chinese in Southeast Asia would want that to happen. No way. Because the Hong Kong capitalistic system is going to be socialism with a Chinese characteristic. Because it is already very clear to the people in Communist Party that Hong Kong is China. So you don't tell us what to do. We are going to do it this way. Nobody is going to discredit, nobody is going to deny that. But the whole of Southeast Asia, the Chinese, they would not want to be like Hong Kong, under the influence of the Communist Party. I'm very sure about that. You ask my grandfather come from China. My mother keep telling me this, Sam, cannot trust communists. I say, you were born in Singapore? Yeah, you were born in Singapore. Your grandfather born in China. You know how big his house was? No? I say, I don't know. So you go and ask him. So I asked, my grandfather is Cantonese. But his Cantonese is very different. So I asked him in Cantonese, normal Cantonese. You know how big was his house? He said, my backyard is the football field. My backyard. My house is 2 times of that football field. So you walk from the entrance to the back, before the backyard, is 2 times. So when the nationalists are the Kuomintang and the communists fighting, you don't know who is who, you know. They just come, finish. And the backyard there's a door that goes down. Wow. Last time got James Bond, you know. Hey, you know what's below? No? Below that, gold bar. So because his father owns businesses, they are very informed. He said the people are coming already. So his mother, my great-grandmother, cried like hell. Cry. Because you know his son has to run already. He could only take a few gold bar, go on a ship, go to Hong Kong. A few, Then say how many gold bar you have. I really don't know, man. You go inside, you feel the thing, then you know, man. A lot of gold bar all gone. So you go to Hong Kong, he has to be a chef. You know what was he doing last time? Every day he just relax, only go to the factory. And like go out, you know, the real, like those movies on a boat, people cook for him, women beside him. Every day relax only, you know. The best of time, like Shanghai Tang like that, you know. I say, sure or not? Yeah. Oh, then he, you know, enjoy opium, everything he enjoy lah. Everything he enjoy. And the moment he had to go into the ship, change. Wear singlet, shorts. Come to Hong Kong, chef. So every time he talk about China, Mao Zedong, pui. That's why when the PAP down here fight against communism, yeah man, yeah, kill them, you bring here, whack them, yeah. So the PAP also very smart, they know already. The people here mostly are anti-communist. The other one, Indonesia. The communists caught all, Sukarno, the leader. He caught all the generals. The communists caught all the Sukarno generals except one general, the last general. Who's the last general? You know? Suharto. What Suharto was doing? He go behind, call all the Chinese. Hey, tolong lah. The Chinese are actually the nationalists. Some of them from Taiwan, they came over. Fighting against, they were expelled from China because of the rivalry. So if you go to Taiwan, you see one area got Indonesian Chinese community there. No? They have very close relationship. The Hakka clan. So this group of Chinese donated money, no. Wow, just sounds like our badminton player didn't win anything. People donate money, give money, prize money. So they give him money. They get the Americans to supply arms. So he gathered his army, finished the communists. So you think the Indonesian Chinese, you think they will support the communists? No way. Die also, they cut. Communist suicide also don't go back to China. So this socialism with a Chinese characteristic actually even haunt Lee Kuan Yew. Oh my God, don't play a fool. Why? Lee Kuan Yew went to China is to make money, you know. He's not go there and act like communist leader, you know. He only say we are similar culturally, but not ideologically. Don't bring me in. So the Chinese people say, no, we can work together. No, cannot work together. Can make money together only. You go to Malaysia, the Chinese, the MCA, or the Hokkien, no way. We are different. We are overseas Chinese. You know why it's called overseas Chinese? The Chinese word is Hua Qiao, no? We crossed the bridge already, no? Culturally similar, but ideologically different. Because the communists killed the dialects, the southern Chinese, all the dialects. You go to all the temple, all they just finished the whole damn thing, they killed the culture. Why? They don't believe in religion. Communism has no religion. But now they start, you know. Now they start. So I want you to think that Southeast Asia, although we love the rise of China, but we are still being haunted by what happened in the past, of how communism was in the minds, not just of, you don't get it, no. My mother will sure say, Sam, please, never, ever get close to communism. Because these people are hypocrite, I'm telling you. I'll give you another example when these people are hypocrite. My grand-uncle, during the struggle against the Japanese, the Malayan jungle, from here to Johor all the way, the Indian, Chinese, and Malay were fighting. The communists say, we are coming, we are coming. Never come, man. 我们要来你去死了, never come. The people in the village had to fight against the Japanese themselves. Where the Chinese never come, never send one ship also. Indian, you know who helped them? The British helped them. So that is why when Singapore wanted to leave, when the British wanted to decolonize, they never had the imagination that Singapore will be close to China. Never. Never the Chinese believe this way. They only know that one day China will rise, but they never expect it to come up so much. And they never will subscribe to a successful communist state because they know power will consolidate right in Beijing down there. Nothing is yours. Everyone knows that. Okay, so if you read the 1997 Singapore newspaper, they always tell you this. Singaporeans can go China. Please stay rooted. You know what's the meaning of that? Go global, stay local. Don't be influenced by the ideology of all these communist party there. We only invest there. Go there and get your experience. That's all you do. They cannot say, hey, you don't go and join communism. You say that, then the investment gone. So go global, stay rooted, stay local. Okay? So the challenge of Southeast Asia is not the Southeast Asian Chinese. No. They definitely will reject communism. I'm guarantee you. Seriously, you just go around. I go Southeast Asia, you can see China. Hey, don't play anymore. We all run here for a reason. Hey. You just need to mention this only. You all came here for what? Why are you here? Because China was very good, you came here, is it? No, right? See? Then you know what to do already lah. You, Suharto, you give money to Suharto? For what? Fight communists, right? Now you go and, are you mad or what? Oh no, it's okay lah. Okay, you go to Vietnam, they invaded you 1,000 times, right? Oh, yeah. So, one more time you want to, oh no, it's okay. All you need to do is like that only. So the Americans just need to have strategic partners there, just to influence them. And then what the Americans do? Give contract. Realign the global production network. This is one thing that they will do now. We're going to take a break now. But I want to show you something first during the break. Channel News Asia, semiconductor. Okay, just October.
You can't expect your team to manage work with this. With Monday.
Shut up. You know, these are all bureaucrats.
Singapore's semiconductor industry is getting a boost with a multi-billion-dollar wafer manufacturing facility by German chipmaker Siltronic. Well, this 3 billion Sing dollar facility is the firm's largest and most advanced. It will create 600 jobs here and will make Singapore one of the world's largest suppliers of high-end silicon substrates. Well, speaking at the groundbreaking ceremony, Trade and Industry Minister Gan Kim Yong says the investment will strengthen Singapore's supply chain resilience. He says it will enable the country to help meet the global surge in demand for semiconductor products and take Singapore closer to its goal of being a global hub for advanced manufacturing. As the only silicon wafer manufacturer in Singapore, Mr. Gan says Siltronic plays a key role.
This will mean more job opportunities, be it engineering, managers, or researchers for Singaporeans too. The semiconductor industry employs over 33,000 people, and we expect the number to increase by around 1,700 within the next 5 years.
Next election, you know what to do, huh? This is how they win election. It's about programs. So 1,600, huh? So if you don't make it, it's your fault, okay? Not my fault, huh? Okay? So that consciousness, has it been successful? The Chinese that have been trying to develop since the global financial crisis, 2009 until now, 12 years. It seems that that dream is disintegrating because the Americans are buying back the favors from their old allies, realigning the global production network. So Singapore will go back to where it was in the 1990s. We used to be a hub for semiconductor. And all the people wanted to study what was known as electronic and electrical engineering. That was the most difficult course to get into. Electronic and electrical. When I went to England to study, all the people only studied 2 subjects or 3 subjects. Nobody studied life science. You either, it's 4 subjects. You either study accounting, finance. You study economics, which I did. Okay? You study IPE or building construction. Well, everybody aimed that thing, no. You go to that faculty there, everybody saying, doing the same thing. Malaysians also do the same thing because it was spreading across the peninsula. So in Malaysia, they are also going to invest there. So you tell me now, if the Americans are going to invest so much in Vietnam also a lot of money in like semiconductor also. So they're spreading out everything out. So it's a global American production network in terms of semiconductor. The Japanese are also here, just to revive the old style again. And then you're gonna have the Chinese by themselves with it's called, I think it's TMIC or something. SMIC, sorry, it's called SMIC. Yeah, TSMC, Taiwan version is TSMC. SMIC, producing for themselves and only for their own use. Is there any incentive to the rest of Southeast Asia? The only incentive that they can actually provide to us will be cheaper phones, possibly. But not create jobs for Southeast Asia. So you can have to understand the difference here. The Americans' way of doing things, very different. We create jobs for you. Remember, what is it that they got their soft power? Compliance. The Chinese way is cheaper goods. That is the way they get soft power. So which one will the government choose? At this point in time, when they are trying to recover from the pandemic, jobs more important or cheaper goods more important? Ask yourself this question. Jobs more important or cheaper goods are more important when you recover from a crisis? Which one? Jobs first, you got jobs, right? You can pay GST higher also, never mind. You got no job. You reduce GST by 2%, I still can't afford, I die how? You can increase my income tax. If I have an income, never mind. Right? So if you sell me cheaper, it's like reducing GST or reducing income tax. But if I don't have a job, you take away my job, the job is all in China, you know. Then how? So no way. So by the same token, Southeast Asia is very both of communism, socialism, everything. Southeast Asia only love capitalism. That's the ASEAN Free Trade Agreement. Okay? They just follow comply, capitalism. So we are going back to what Marx said. We look at the social force of the rise of Southeast Asia. Southeast Asia rose considerably, and then China came up. So it was the Western world that invested, the MNCs that went in there, and the Japanese that brought Southeast Asia up. Then the outsourcing to China began. That in itself tells us because China was cheaper. And today there are trade-offs. They are going to take away your jobs when it's cheaper. So The governments of Southeast Asia have something to look at. Remember, politicians only care about the next election. They need to create jobs. If they don't create jobs, you can be sure PAP is over. I guarantee you, if they cannot create enough good jobs, PAP is over. Okay? Even the same for Malaysia, UMNO. They cannot reinvent to produce a job. They will be kicked out again. It's all about jobs. Okay? So, I let you decide. I come back, I'll recap one more time so that you understand what to write in your essay. The rise of China when it comes out. Okay? But now you go and digest everything first. Let's take a break. 507